The house on Whispering Hill. When Emily Rivers moved into the Whispering Hill community, she thought she had found her dream home. The neatly trimmed hedges, the uniform mailboxes, the scent of freshly mowed lawns. It all whispered security and order. But that was before she learned about house number 17. It started with a letter. 3 days after she moved in, she found an unmarked envelope shoved under her door. No name, no return address, just one line typed in bold. Stay away from house number 17. Confused, Emily looked out her window. House 17 stood directly across the cul-de-sac. A charming 2-story colonial with white shutters and a red door, exactly like the others. Nothing unusual. No signs of damage or decay. In fact, it seemed unoccupied. The HOA president, a stern woman in her 60s named Mrs. Ethel Wren, had welcomed her personally upon arrival. She'd handed Emily the HOA welcome packet, highlighted the community rules. Strictly no noise after 8 p.m., no visible trash cans, no outside decorations except during sanctioned holiday windows, and left her with a tight-lipped smile. That smile haunted Emily. She tucked the letter into a drawer and tried to forget it. Strange happenings. The next week, Emily began to notice odd things. Lights flickering in house 17 at odd hours. A shadow in the upper window. Once, while walking her dog Max, she heard faint whispers as she passed by. She stopped to listen. Nothing. She turned to go, and the front porch light of house 17 turned on. No one was there. She reported it to the HOA, expecting maybe a rational explanation or at least a maintenance check. But Mrs. Wren simply said, "That property is under review. It's best you keep your distance." Under review? What does that mean? Emily asked. Just follow the guidelines. Everything will be fine. The past residents. Curious, Emily visited the town library. She dug into public records, real estate logs, anything about House 17. She found that every resident of House 17 had left within a year. The most recent owner, a teacher named Martin Keene, disappeared in 2021. Before him, a nurse. Then a young couple. All had either moved suddenly or simply vanished. No official investigations. Just HOA-managed silence. Emily felt the weight of something unsaid. Something deliberately buried. Breaking the rules. She returned home and did something bold. She crossed the street and walked up to house 17. The front door was locked, but when she peered through the window, she saw nothing. No furniture. No curtains. Just shadows. And then she noticed the door had no dust on the doorknob. Someone was cleaning it. That night, another envelope appeared. This time with a typed warning. You have been seen. Obey the covenant. Final warning. The secret HOA meetings. Emily couldn't sleep. She watched from her darkened window as figures gathered at Mrs. Wren's home after midnight. Cars with tinted windows. People in dark coats. A secret HOA meeting? She recorded a video, but the next morning, her phone was wiped. Everything gone. Terrified but determined, Emily confronted her next-door neighbor, a quiet man named Mr. Harlan. At first, he refused to speak, but after some coaxing, he finally whispered, "They're not just an HOA. Whispering Hill was built on old government land. Experimental housing. Something was left behind in House 17. They say it whispers because it remembers. Everyone who hears it changes." Emily felt a chill. "What happened to Martin Keene?" she asked. Mr. Harlan looked around nervously. He went inside the house. They never found him, but some nights, people say they see him standing in the upstairs window. The decision. Emily knew she had to go inside. She waited until 2 a.m., dressed in black, and crossed over with a flashlight and lockpicking tool she'd bought online. The door creaked open. Dust floated in the air like memories. The silence was unnatural. Heavy. She stepped in. The door closed behind her. Room by room, the house was empty. No furniture, no scent, just stillness. And then she reached the second floor. She heard whispers. Soft. Disjointed. "Don't leave me. Help." She opened the last door on the right. A mirror stood in the middle of the room. Her reflection blinked, but she hadn't. Behind her reflection stood a man, pale, hollow eyes, whispering endlessly. "Martin," she gasped. He turned slowly, looking at her, but not seeing her. Suddenly, a force pulled Emily backward. The room twisted. Light bent. She woke up in her bed,
sweating, shaking.
It was 6 a.m. Had it been a dream? She rushed outside. House 17 was gone.
Gone.
Just an empty plot of grass. And standing at the edge was Mrs. Wren, holding a clipboard. "You've been processed," she said, without looking up. "You're one of us now." Emily stared at her. "What did you do to me?" Mrs. Wren gave her that same tight-lipped smile. "Welcome to Whispering Hill." 1 month later, Emily now wore the HOA badge, a silver pin on her collar. She greeted new residents with the same lines Mrs. Wren once used, handed them the same packet, warned them about rules, smiled the same lifeless smile. And at night, she stood at her window, watching the plot where House 17 used to be. Sometimes it whispered, "Help me," and she whispered back, "Obey the covenant."